how to build muscle as a vegan. Now, let's talk about this. When I first went vegan, one of the things that I was most concerned about was obviously putting on muscle and getting in protein to put on that muscle. I thought that it would be much harder for me to put on muscle as a vegan. I don't know why I thought that, but it sort of makes sense. The marketing, media, everything sort of pushes pushes people into perspective that you sort of need meat, you need dairy to put on muscle. But let's talk about how how to build muscle as a vegan and how I did, because I've put on a lot of muscle since going vegan almost 4 years ago. And I've seen tremendous progress and it's continued to go up and up. I've continued to build muscle. I've continued to lose fat. I've gone through the whole process as a vegan. Now, the main thing when you want to build muscle is calories. You need calories. You need to figure out how many calories you need. You need to be in a surplus. You don't always have to be in a surplus. Like, this is my point. This is my perspective. I've never had a bulking phase ever. I've never sort of been in a bulk. I've never had a bulk. I've put on a lot of weight, not because I was trying to bulk, but because I got lazy. I stopped gymming. I just liked food. I kept eating, but I've never had a controlled period where I would just eat in a surplus. I've never gone through a bulk. Maybe even though I haven't been through a bulk, I've put on muscle. I've seen my body change. And I think it's because I wasn't in a surplus, but I was in a deficit, close to maintenance, maybe just a little bit above maintenance for a period of time. But even in a deficit, I've put on muscle and I've seen that. I've seen progress, because if most of my fitness journey, if I wasn't, just eating whatever, being lazy with my nutrition, I was in a deficit. I was trying to lose weight, not always successfully, but I would be in a deficit. Every time I took my nutrition seriously, it was because I would put myself in a deficit. And even through doing that, I've put on muscle. So I've never gone through a bulking phase. I'm not saying that you don't have to. I probably could have put on a lot more muscle if I went through a proper bulking phase, but I haven't. I've always sort of been maintenance and deficit when I took my nutrition seriously, when I took my training seriously, and I have seen my body change. But if you're serious about building muscle, being in a surplus, I mean, if you have a lot of fat on your body, obviously I would say cut down, get lean, get under 15% body fat. And then once you're lean, build on top of that. There's no point bulking. You have no reason to bulk if you have fat on you, if you're over 15% body fat. But let's say you are lean and you want to put on some muscle as a vegan. Maybe you're a hard gainer and you want to put on a muscle. You want to put on some muscle. Calories. And that is the only thing that matters, is calories. Nothing else matters. It's not about, you're getting it from meat, you're getting it from plant-based sources. No, it's all about calories and, of course, protein, but the quality of your food matters as well when you're putting on muscle. So calories. Can you get enough calories from vegan food? Of course you can. Of course you can. I gained so much weight as a vegan. You can get in calories as a vegan easily. There's no difference. Honestly, there's no difference between eating meat, putting on muscle, eating meat, versus putting on muscle as a vegan. There's been studies about this. There is no difference. There is nothing that you can get from meat that you can't get from plants. So, of course, you can get calories from vegan food, but how? What are ways that you can sort of get in more calories? And I'm talking specifically right now to hard gainers, people who can't put on weight. Because if you can put on weight, obviously you'd find it much easier to sort of build muscle. All you need to do is make sure you're on top of your nutrition, make sure you're training hard, and the progress will come. But if you're a hard gainer, and especially when you've been eating meat your whole life and you switch to a plant-based vegan diet, it is a lot it's a lot of volume of food. It's really it's high volume food, most plant-based foods, but it's low in calories. So you have to bump up your calories. You have to eat a lot more. But there are foods you can add to sort of get in more calories. One of my favorite foods to add in to bump my calories up, even when I'm cutting, when I don't feel like eating a lot of food, when I need to hit my calories for today, is peanut butter. I love peanut butter. Fats in general. Fats are so high in calories. Fats are your cheat code. That is it. If you're struggling to get in calories as a vegan, which I don't see how, because there's so many vegan foods out there. There's so many ways you can get in calories, but I do understand that there are people out there who struggle to put on weight, regardless if you're vegan or if you're not. Fats, your nuts, seeds, peanut butter, these are foods that are dense in calories. Almonds, cashews, peanuts, these foods are loaded with calories. And the thing is, you make a smoothie, you add in some peanut butter, you add in some almonds, some cashews, seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, linseeds, hemp seeds. All of these foods are packed with calories. Also protein, also omega-3s, also all your nutritional benefits, but also calories. And once you add these foods in a smoothie, you don't taste it. I mean, it's easier to get in those foods into your body, in my opinion, through smoothies, through liquid form. So I think that's what you should do. If you're struggling to get in calories, peanut butter, nuts, seeds, these things should be your best friend. And of course, a lot of people don't like nuts. If you have a nut allergy, then that's unfortunate. There are ways you can sort of get in calories through carbs, things like rice syrup. I love carbs myself, and there's a lot of ways you can get in. If I was a hard gainer and I needed to get in calories, what I would do is, if I had a nut allergy, if I couldn't eat nuts, I'd probably just add in a lot of sweet foods like fruits, bananas in my smoothie, fruits, rice syrup. Rice syrup, I love rice syrup. If you've never had rice syrup before, it's pretty much vegan honey, and it tastes so good, and I really like it. Rice syrup is a must. You should definitely try it out if you haven't already and you're struggling getting calories. But if you don't have any allergies, if you can eat nuts, eat it. Nuts is my best friend, and I'm going to cut right now. I love my peanut butter still. So nuts is how you put on muscle as a vegan, because nuts equals calories, and calories equals muscle building or putting on weight. And if you're training right, which you should be, training is also a big part of this, obviously. So make sure you're training hard. You're sort of pushing yourself in the gym, pushing your body past its limits. But once you have all your training sorted, your nutrition plays a bigger part. So nuts, seeds. So make a smoothie. Add in some sunflower seeds, add in some peanut butter, some almonds, like a handful of almonds. You could probably fit all in your mouth at once. 250 calories. So they are dense in calories. So there's just no excuse anymore to not be able to get in calories as a vegan. And of course, if you are someone that sort of struggles, you do taste these nuts in your food, you do feel it in your food, and it's just too much, this should be a last resort. I don't always recommend this, but this is for people who really struggle to put on weight, is MCT oil. And coconut oil isn't the best thing for you, so be careful. But MCT oil is dense, so dense in calories. Like a few teaspoons of MCT oil could get you 300, 500 extra calories in your smoothie, and you won't even taste it. So that could be a last resort. But nuts, peanut butter, seeds, these things are loaded in calories. So I highly recommend adding these foods in your daily diet if you aren't already. And in saying that, there's just no excuse anymore. Like if I could go back in time and tell myself, talk to myself before I was going vegan, I would say, don't worry. You're going to get in your protein. That's fine. You're going to eat from whole foods, plant-based. You're going to hit your protein. Just make sure you're getting in the calories. So for all you hard gainers out there, make sure you're getting in calories. And obviously the foods that I mentioned, they are super high in protein as well. So obviously you need to make sure protein is a big part. 1.6 times your body weight in kilos is how much protein you need. I aim for 140 to 160 grams of protein. But protein aside, if you're eating whole foods plant-based, you're going to easily hit your protein regardless. But that's when calories comes into play. You need your calories. So that's it, guys. Nuts, seeds. Those are your holy grail of calories. Easy way to get in calories. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, 400 calories. So try that out if you're struggling to put on weight as a vegan. And yeah, that's all it is. Of course you can put on muscle as a vegan. You can put on so much muscle. I've put on muscle. I'm living proof, and so many others. So this myth that it's hard to put on muscle, it's hard to build muscle as a vegan. And I'm not saying this in a, like I'm sort of up myself way, but when you're at the gym and when you're training, I've put in the work throughout the years, but being the biggest guy in the gym as a vegan, it's something else. So strive to be the best version, that you can be. Push yourself, push your physique, work hard and build a physique that you're proud of. Because once you have a physique that you're proud of and you've done it without hurting animals, purely vegan, you feel so proud of yourself. Especially when you're walking around, you're bigger than all the other meat eaters. That sends a message. That really does send a message. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a walking example that you don't need meat to build muscle. 6 tips to put on muscle as a hard gainer, especially if you're a vegan or vegetarian like me. I've been vegan for 4 years now, and these 6 tips, I'm going to talk about what you can do to put on muscle. If you're a hard gainer and you're struggling to put on muscle, if you're not seeing any progress no matter how much you eat and you just don't know what to do, I got you covered. I've been vegan for 4 years now, and these 6 tips that I'm going to talk about, they apply to you whether you're vegan, whether you're vegetarian, whether you're a meat eater. It doesn't really matter. I didn't always have muscle. I wasn't born with muscle. I was skinny. And it took a while for me to learn the things that you need to do to put on muscle. And I've learned a lot over the years. It's been 10 years since I've started training, since I first joined the gym. And I'm going to give you guys 6 tips on how you can sort of progress and actually put on quality muscle. Number 1, you need to make sure you're following a consistent weight training routine. And as simple as this sounds, a lot of people aren't. A simple, consistent weight training routine. And when I say routine, it doesn't really matter what kind of routine you follow. You could do a push-pull leg split, you could do a full body split, you could do a bro split, which is, training 1 or 2 muscles per session. You could do upper lower split. The main important thing in this tip is being consistent and getting in those workouts every single week without failure. Be consistent. More than a training routine, more than what you choose to do, what's going to be more important is consistency. Putting your body through the stress consistently over time. And what do I recommend? If you want to put on muscle, if you want to put on mass, I would recommend either a push-pull leg split where you do training 6 times a week, push-pull legs, and 1 rest day. I would recommend a upper-lower split. I would recommend a full body split.
I recommend these things because you're training each muscle twice a week, at least twice a week minimum. And as a natural, the more volume you give your body, the more times you hit every single muscle in a week, the more progress you're going to see, especially when you want to put on mass, especially when you want to put your body under stress. And the more stress you put it under, the more you're going to grow. And I don't mean overtraining. You want to keep it controlled. You want the volume to remain sensible. But at the same time, you want to push yourself as much as you can. I do have training programs, which will be in the description box down below, which I followed. I followed similar plans there. That's what I followed to get shredded. But if you can find another plan, find a plan. But what I recommend is finding one particular plan and following that to the T. When you're first getting started, or if you're a hard gainer and you're a beginner and you can't really see progress, don't make any changes to a program. Don't feel like you have to add exercises if you feel like you're not hitting everything enough. Find a plan, follow that to the T, give it your everything, and then give it about a few months, and then have a look at your progress. If you follow a plan for a few weeks, you don't see any progress, no, that's not going to do anything. You're not going to see any progress in a few weeks unless you're first starting to join the gym. You need to give it some time. You need to give it a few months at least. I don't like changing my workout programs much at all. I honestly don't. I like doing the same workout routine, the same workout plan for 6, 8, even a year. I followed the same push-pull leg split for a year. So don't change your program. Stick to one program. Be consistent. Consistency beats everything else when it comes to weight training. So make sure that you're being consistent. That's your number one tip. Find a workout program and be consistent. Number 2, and this is one of the most important tips, apart from weight training, is your diet. You have to track your calories, especially if you're a hard gainer. If you feel like no matter what you're doing, you're not putting on weight, track your calories. I hear people all the time come up to me, be like, oh, I eat 4,000, 5,000 calories every single day, and I'm not seeing any progress. And then I ask them, are you tracking your calories? How do you know you're eating that much? They're not. They're taking a guess. They feel like they're eating that much food every single day. And it's usually because they're eating junk. They're eating fast food, Macca's, Hungry Jacks, KFC. And they feel like they're getting in calories, and they use that as an excuse. They use eating junk as an excuse to, get in calories. No, you have to track your calories. Learn how to weigh your food, learn how to use MyFitnessPal, and learn how to track your calories. If you want to know how many calories you need to actually put on muscle to bulk, I have a guide on just how to do that, which will also be in the description box down below. It is a method. It has a guide on how to calculate your calories, whether you want to get shredded, whether you want to put on muscle. Follow that. Find out your calories, find out your macros, and try to aim for those calories. But you have to learn how to track your calories. You have to learn how to track your food, especially when you feel like no matter what you're eating, you're not putting on any weight or seeing any difference. Because think about it. If you're eating a particular kind of way and you're not seeing any progress, how do you know what to change? How do you know if you're making any progress or not? So your food has to be the variable. You have to know, you have to have a basic idea of how many calories you're eating in a day. And of course, it's not going to be accurate, but it's going to be close. You're going to have a rough idea of how many calories you're eating every single day. And once you have that, you can make changes based on how you're looking or how you're progressing. If you're not progressing, increase those calories. If you feel like you're putting on too much weight, decrease those calories. Ever since I started tracking my food, ever since I started counting calories, it's made it so much easier for me. If I want to have a cheat meal, I can still fit it in, my calories. And I know exactly how much I'm eating, so I know what to change if I'm plateauing, if I'm not doing any progress. So tracking your food. That leads me on to tip number 3, which sort of ties in with tip number 2. If you're still tracking your calories, if you're doing everything right, and you're still not seeing any progress, if you're eating so much food and you're not seeing any progress, you're not putting on any muscle, that's when it's time to be smart about this. Picking foods that are high in calories, dense in calories, These are foods like nuts, seeds, fatty foods. Adding more fats in your diet will help you hit your calories. And something as simple as peanut butter can add so many calories. So if you're tracking your calories, if you're following everything else to the T, but you're not seeing any progress, and you have to increase your calories, but you're feeling really full. You feel like you're eating to your limit and you can't eat any more food. That's when you sort of have to think about adding in fatty foods, pretty much, tricking your brain into eating more food when you feel like you're full. Something like nuts, almonds, handful of almonds is so many calories. Instead of 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, using 2 tablespoons of peanut butter adds in so many calories. And even to the extreme, if you feel like you're doing everything else, you're still really full, adding in maybe 1-2 tablespoons of MCT oil, which is coconut oil, adds in dense calories. This is only if you're doing everything else and you're not seeing any progress, you can't get in calories, you can't eat more food, then you have to sort of add these tips, add fats, add nuts, seeds into your diet. And my favorite way of doing that is by making smoothies. You can add in 2-3 tablespoons of peanut butter. You can add in seeds and things like sunflower seeds, kernel seeds, all these different types of seeds. You can add in MCT oil. These things will boost your calories. So if you feel like no matter how much you're eating, you're not putting on any mass, it's time to eat something different. It's time to add in high calorically dense foods, which are your fats mainly. Protein and carbs, they have 4 calories per gram, but fats have 9 calories per gram, so you're going to get in more calories per gram. So that's a little hack that you can do to get in more calories. Tip number 4, and this might seem counterintuitive to everything that I've said, especially if you want to put on mass, but cardio. Don't stop doing cardio. And when I say cardio, I mean being active. The only cardio that I preach, the only cardio that I really do, apart from dancing, dancing is sort of like cardio, but apart from that, the only cardio that I do is getting in steps. I have this step counter. This is the Fitbit that I use. I'll have it linked down in the description box down below. But I just aim to hit 10,000 steps minimum every single day. Just because you want to put on weight, just because you want to put on muscle, shouldn't mean you should stop doing cardio, as in stop going for walks, stopping doing any kind of sports, stopping being physical. Being physical is an important part of life. You need some kind of fitness, some kind of cardiovascular activity in your life. Even if you're bulking, if you're shredding, it's just better for your health. And the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people do is completely stop doing cardio. Stopping doing all kinds of cardio. No. You need to get your body moving. You need to get your heart moving. And how is this going to help with, putting on muscle? It is. Everything sort of ties in with each other. The healthier you are, the better your testosterone levels are going to be, the better the chemicals are going to be balanced in your body, and the more your body is going to be ready to really take on that added stress when you're lifting weights. So you need to do cardio. You need to be active. Get 10,000 steps a day. You need to focus on that. You need to focus on cardio. Don't stop doing cardio. And I know 10,000 steps may seem like a lot, but if you're someone that walks around, you don't need to go for an extra walk to get in 10,000 steps. Even if you're working, just going for short walks, walking to the train station, walking here, just walking around throughout your day, you can easily get around 8 to 10,000 steps. And let's say if you're short of 10,000 by a few thousand steps, that's fine. Even going for a short walk at night, it really adds up. So cardio is a big thing, especially when you want to put on muscle. You need to make sure your body's primed. Your body's health is more important. And the healthier your body is, the healthier your heart is, your cardiovascular system, you're going to progress. You need to make sure you have your priorities in order, and cardiovascular health is up there. So make sure that you're not stopping cardio, you're still continuing to do cardio. Tip number 5, is sleep. Now, I've spoken a lot about sleep before, and sleep is honestly one of the most important things when it comes to fitness, when it comes to building muscle, when it comes to getting shredded. Sleep is everything. If you're doing every single thing that I just spoke about right, but you're not focusing on sleep, then everything else is a waste of time. Sleep is when your body recovers. You need to focus on sleep. It manages your stress levels, your cortisol levels, how you're feeling, your mood when you wake up, your energy levels. Everything comes down to sleep. So make sure you're sleeping at least 7 hours every single night. And reality is, you need to stick to the same sleeping pattern, same sleeping routine for as much as you can. And of course, you're going to have nights where you're going out, you stay out late, that's fine. Keep that time aside. You're going to have those nights. But as much as you can, Monday to Friday, Monday to Saturday, or even Monday, six days a week, you follow a strict sleeping pattern where you make sure you're sleeping 7 hours a night. Ideally, you want to sleep at the same time, you want to wake up at the same time. This is just genuinely good for your health. Maintain healthy dopamine levels, healthy stress levels, healthy cortisol levels. It makes everything so much better. And it comes down to the last tip as well. You need to make sure that your body's health is in the right place. So sleep, especially for building muscle, because you build muscle when you rest, and when you're sleeping, you're resting. Sleep is so important in this journey. Whether you're shredding, whether you're bulking, it doesn't matter. Sleep is everything. Sleep is so important. So find ways of trying to get better quality sleep. And this Fitbit tracks sleep as well. So I can look at my sleep, I can see how good the quality of the sleep is, and I can make changes based on that. So make sure you have some tracker, something that tracks your sleep. This is what I use. It can be anything. Like I said, this will be in the description box down below. You can check it out. It's not that expensive. It's pretty cheap, and I've had it for years now, and it's helped me so much in my progress. So sleep, don't skimp out on sleep. Sleep is everything. You want to make sure you get at least 7 hours, nothing less than 7 hours of sleep. And trust me, you're going to see such a big progress, such big improvements in your quality of life once you get your sleeping in order. Sleep is everything. If you train in the mornings, and let's say you get to bed at really late at night, one night, and you have to wake up at 4 in the morning, don't wake up at 4 in the morning to train. Sleep is more important than waking up to train. You can fit in that training session sometime throughout the week, but you can't fit in those extra hours of sleep. That's going to make a big impact on how you feel that day. So make sure you prioritize sleep more than training. This might be controversial, but I stand by this. Sleep is more important than training. Obviously, I'm not saying if you just sleep and not train, you're going to progress. No, training is important, sleep is important, but when you have to pick between the two, pick sleep. Pick 7 hours of sleep. So sleep is really important, especially when you want to change your body, you want to change the composition of your body, you want to put on muscle. Sleep is essential. Now my last and final tip number 6, is supplementation. And when I say supplementation, I'm not talking about, your multivitamins. I'm not talking about your protein powders, your pre-workouts. I mean, obviously those things help, but I'm not going to talk about all of that. I'm going to talk about one supplement in particular, and that's creatine. Creatine is the only supplement that works. It's the most studied supplement out there. So creatine, make sure you're getting in 5 milligrams of creatine 5 grams, 5 grams of creatine every single day, which is around 1 teaspoon of creatine. Creatine, I've seen so much progress just on creatine once I started getting on creatine. And it doesn't matter what kind of creatine you go for. I have the one that I use in the description box, but just go to your store. Get the cheapest one you can find. The cheapest creatine, it's all the same. Creatine monohydrate. You're going to find ones with 3 gram servings. You're going to find one at 5 gram serving. But make sure you get, regardless of which one you take, it doesn't matter. It's just the serving size. make sure you use 5 grams every single day. Every single day. And I have people ask me what happens if I miss a day of taking creatine. So it's not going to do anything. One day of no creatine isn't going to make or destroy your gains, but you're going to be better off if you don't miss out on that day. So I try to make sure I get in creatine every single day. It's cheap. It's easy. Just put it in my smoothie. I'll put it in my smoothie. It doesn't matter when you take it. I like taking it in my morning smoothie, but it doesn't matter when you take it. You can take it with your pre-workout. You can take it at night. You can take it whenever you want. But creatine, if you want it, if you need to take, or if you want to take one supplement, if you can only choose one supplement to take, it's creatine. Of course, you have other supplements like pre-workout, protein powders, ashwagandha, your multivitamins, all that good stuff. Those things help. But when it comes to performance enhancement, I'm talking purely to build muscle, purely to look different, purely to change how your body looks. Creatine is a game changer. So get on creatine if you're not already. You can check out the one that I use in the description box, or you can go to your local grocery store and just get the cheapest one, because it's all the same. Don't let any kind of marketing, branding, whatever people tell you, that like this one's different, this one's different. It's really not different. It's all the same. Get the cheapest one you can find. Take 5 grams, which is a teaspoon, with water, mix with water, drink it every single day, and you'll see the benefits of creatine. I mean, you won't, because you'll get so used to it, but if you don't come off of creatine, you don't have to cycle off or on creatine, but you'll see the progress once you're on creatine. I definitely have, and I'm sure if you ask anyone else who's been lifting for a few years now, if they've seen progress in creatine, of course. It is the most researched bodybuilding supplement there is. So get on creatine, and there's a lot of marketing out there that says you need this supplement, you have to have this supplement to build muscle. You don't. Supplements really don't do anything. And I'm talking purely supplements like BCAAs or like fit supplements that revolve around building muscle. I'm not talking about multivitamins or pre-workouts or protein powders. Those things, they help. But other bodybuilding supplements, they really don't help. You don't need it. All you need is food. You don't even need protein powder. You don't even need pre-workout. You don't need pre-workout. I mean, it helps, but you don't need it. You could just choose to have coffee before training. Instead of protein powder, you could just choose to eat real food. But creatine, your body naturally produces creatine, but it doesn't make as much as you need to really see its benefits. So get on creatine, and you'll see progress. I hope these 6 tips helped you guys. If you have any questions, you can let me know. You can message me on Instagram, which will be on screen right now, or you can comment down below, whatever. But follow these 6 tips, especially if you're a hard gainer. And trust me, it took me a long time to learn these things. And I wish I had someone tell me these things beforehand when I was getting started into fitness. And that's why I make these videos. I make these videos like I'm making them for my younger self. I've learned so much over the years, and I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, but I can't. But what I can do is tell you guys, so you guys don't make the same mistakes that I did. So take what you want from this. You should follow these 6 tips if you're a hard gainer and you're not seeing any progress, because I've seen massive progress. And yeah, if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, comment any questions you have, and share this with your friends who you feel are hard gainers. And like I said at the start, vegan, vegetarian, it doesn't really matter. Even if you eat meat, these 6 tips still apply. I've been vegan for 4 years now, and the same rules still apply. It doesn't matter where you get your protein from, as long as you're getting in your 9 essential amino acids. You're getting in all your forms of protein, eating from a wide variety of sources. That's all that matters.
How to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. Now, do I think that it's possible to build muscle in a caloric deficit? Can you build muscle and lose fat at the same time? Yes, I think of course you can. You can build muscle in a caloric deficit under certain circumstances. So I'm going to talk about how I did it, how I built muscle and lost fat, and how you can do it as well. Now, I just want to start off by saying that I've been training for a long time. I've been training for about 10 years now, and it wasn't always consistent. I started off training, I had no idea what I was doing when I was like 14 in 2012. I had no idea what I was doing. My nutrition was back, but I was training hard and I still made progress. But one thing that's always remained in my throughout my training career is I've never had a proper bulking phase. I've never had a long phase where I've just gone on a proper bulk and a proper caloric where I've eaten above my caloric maintenance for a long period of time. And if I have done that, it's because I just gave up training, like during COVID, during lockdown, where I just let myself go. Apart from that, I've never really had a bulking phase where I wanted to build muscle. All the muscle that I've built over the years has been me working and training hard and trying to eat in a caloric deficit. And what happened a lot of times when back then, back in my early days of training, I used to diet. I used to diet for 4 or 5 days, and then weekend I would just eat whatever. And I don't know, one thing sort of led to another, and over the years, the more that I learned about nutrition, the more I dialed it down. But in my earlier years, my nutrition was whack. I mean, I was dieting for 4 5 days, and then eating whatever on the weekend, and it seemed to have worked for me. But majority of the time that I was eating, um, it was trying to be in a caloric deficit, and one reason might have been that I've sort of, when I let myself go on the weekend, that my weekly caloric intake in was above my maintenance, but that wasn't always the case. But I just wanted to throw it out there that I've never had a bulking phase, and I'm not saying that you don't have to have a bulking phase. I've just never had one. But how did I lose fat and build muscle at the same time? Me, I feel like there's when you're a newbie, when you're just starting to get into training, you can build muscle and lose fat easily. You go to the gym, you have a decent nutrition plan, you're eating right, you're training hard. Your body, it's such a shock to your body that you build muscle and lose fat. That's just what happens. It's called newbie gains, and make the most of it. If you haven't started training and you're thinking about starting training, make the most of your newbie gains period, because you're going to put on a lot of muscle and you're going to burn a lot of fat. I didn't. I ate oats every day because I read somewhere that oats was good for you. So that's all I ate. No protein, no nothing, just oats and water. So make the most of your newbie gains. But how I did it was, when the lockdown first happened, even a few months before the lockdown, I started to let myself go. I was in a weird place in my life, and I just started eating more, and COVID happened, and that just made everything worse. And I just gave up gym. I was detrained. I was deconditioned. I mean, I just stopped gymming. I didn't train at home. I didn't do anything. And when you stop training for a long periods of time, like I think it was 5 months for me, 4 or 5 months, it doesn't have to be that long. Even if you take a few weeks off of gym, I feel like even if I take a few weeks off of gym, I feel a little bit smaller. But as soon as I get back into training, as soon as I start to eat right, I start to train hard, it all comes back. I build muscle, I burn fat, my body goes through a little recomposition period. And that's what happened. When I started my transformation, I've had that muscle built already. The muscle was there. It's not like I built all this new muscle out of nowhere. That hard work was put there through years. Has it been 7 years? Yes, 7, 8 years of training at that point. So I had worked hard. I had built a lot of muscle to get myself to that point. But when I let myself go, I sort of lost all that muscle. But as soon as I started eating right, training hard, my body muscle memory kicked in. And it's not that I certainly built a lot of muscle, but most of the muscle was already there. I had built that muscle before. And the leaner that I got, the bigger that I started to look, the better that I started to look, the better my muscles started to look. So if you haven't trained for a while, then you can. That's one condition that you can train in and build muscle and lose fat. if you haven't trained for a long period of time, not even long, even it could just be a few weeks. Now, apart from newbie gains, apart from detrained, another way of building muscle and losing fat. Now, I just want to say that this isn't the most optimal way. Like, it sounds nice to build muscle and lose fat, but it takes a lot of hard work. And if you're willing to put in that hard work, then that's fine. But it takes a level of dedication that is maybe a step beyond what you're currently doing. So what this involves is, this is the point that I want to get to. I want to get to a point where I'm lean enough, where I'm lean. I don't feel like I've lost so much weight and I've built so much muscle over the past few months and years that in my cut, I'm still on my transformation from when I started my journey, from when I was overweight to now. I'm still on my transformation. And I feel like I'm at a point where I'm not building that much muscle anymore. But I want to get to a point where I'm at a low body fat and I want to get to around 11, 12 body fat, 12% body fat, and see how I look around there. And from there, I want to eat maybe around maintenance, a little bit under maintenance, and just let my body go through recomposition where I'm not in, where my body is sort of burning fat and building muscle over a long period of time. That's my goal. That's where I want to get to. And that's not the most optimal way to build muscle or burn fat. But what it is you get to a physique that you like. I feel like at around 11 to 12% body fat, I'll be pretty happy with my physique. I'd like to maintain it around there. And from there on, I would like to slowly build muscle over time and just burn fat and just main gain, as Greg Doucette would say, main gain. So it is possible to build muscle in a deficit, but the catch is it's a lot of work. You have to be on top of your nutrition, not just nutrition, you have to be on top of your training. Your training has to be on point. You have to push yourself. And a lot of people ask me, how do you train when you're cutting, when you're bulking, when you want to build muscle, lose fat? The same. No matter what phase you're going through, you train like you want to build muscle. You train like you're on a bulk and you're trying to put on muscle. Your training is always the same. There's no training plan for cutting or putting on muscle. It's all the same. You want to always be focused on putting on muscle. So that's my goal, and I feel like that's how you can build muscle and lose fat. So you get to a point, get to a physique, get lean, where you're happy with your physique, and then from there, eat at a maintenance or maybe slightly under maintenance, see how you go. And what that's going to do is you're going to put on muscle, lose fat over time, and you're going to keep looking good. That's the goal. I don't want to go in a bulk. I don't, like, once I get lean, I don't think that I'll go in a proper big bulk. I'll see how I go, but I want to get to a point where I'm happy with my physique and main gain from there. It's going to take a lot of hard work. You have to be on top of your nutrition. You're going to be eating 4 or 5 protein meals a day, high protein, high nutrients, whole foods, plant-based, of course. And on top of your supplementation, making sure you're on top of everything, your creatine, on top of your drinking lots of water, your sleep. Everything has to be on point for this process to work out, but it's worth it. For me, it's worth it. So that's how you would build muscle and lose fat at the same time. And another catch is you're not going to put on a lot of muscle. You're not going to burn a lot of fat. It's going to be a slow progress, but you're going to maintain the physique that you have. And what's better than that? So in my opinion, that's as good as it gets. You maintain a good physique and you're slowly getting better and better over time. And you have flexibility in life. You can have a cheat meal every now and then. You can stay on track. But every other time, apart from those times where you're enjoying yourself, you have to be on point with everything. Every single thing, especially sleep.